Back at the Bus Podcast. Back at it again, as always, with your boy DJ Reams Dope.
Yo.
Your boy Marcus Too Raw.
Yo.
And your boy Josh, aka JTG. We got a special episode where we want to talk about the RECAST TCHALLA movement with the person who's spearheading that movement, E-Man's Movie Reviews. And we also have someone who is on the negative side of it, Marte Durham from the Overly Opinionated Podcast.
Just a different opinion. We won't call it negative.
We'll call it a different opinion.
Man, negative. You just starting on.
He embraces his villain role, so I just felt like it was right to do it that way. So first we want to get E-Man's overview of the entire movement and just kind of give a quick spiel about it.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it. I love what you guys do. Very solid content here. So, again, thanks for that opportunity. Look, the petition is very simple. We are not asking for anything dramatic. Ever since Marvel came out, made the announcement that they were not going to recast the character of T'Challa, in honor of Chadwick Boseman. That's how they feel they're going to honor him. It became pretty clear that they were either going to put the character in the background, like Paul Walker in the Fast and Furious, or you're just going to kill him off. And because we don't know which one, even though I do think it is the latter, the petition is simply saying, please, whatever you do, don't stop the portrayal forever. We're not asking for anything immediate. You don't have to pull an Aunt Viv move from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and just throw somebody in there. You don't have to do like they did with Rhodey and Iron Man and just swap them immediately. You could put them on the sideline. You could come up with whatever story you want. And we're also not saying, don't give the mantle away to anybody. This is not recast Black Panther. It's recast T'Challa. And all we're saying is, whatever you do, don't kill him off permanently. Recast the character and keep the portrayal going, because that should honor the memory of Chadwick Boseman.
So I hate to disappoint. Then I have no issue with that.
Well, that's it, folks. Thanks a lot. Appreciate y'all for that.
See, that's how we do it. That's how we do it.
I thought it was like a thing where, like, nah, he needs to be back immediately, right next episode. No time for people to kind of get over it. Okay, so yeah, that's very it. No, I don't have no.
Listen. I put a lot of thought into this, right? Like, I try to consider all different perspectives. I try to take the family into consideration. I try to take the cast into consideration. And that's why, like, I was very, very clear with what we're asking for, because I know when you just look at the hashtag, if you don't read the petition, if you don't watch the video, it's easy to have that, assumption, right? Mm-hmm. Like, we just, like, people gonna think it's like the Snyder Cut. Like, you got to do this because we demand it. I'm like, no, it's deeper than that. Like, I want to make sure I'm respectful to the people that are close to the situation, but I also want us to understand the long-term ripple effects of what happens when you don't recast. And I don't think people were really thinking about that. And that's why I wanted this petition. Here's the thing. I know Marvel might not care about this petition. I know Marvel might not change their mind. But I'm trying to have this petition be a conversation starter. I wanted people to understand that, like, there's a bigger thing going on here when it comes to Black representation if we don't recast. So that's really what I wanted it to do. I know it's not going to give the immediate results that, we're petitioning for, but I do want to wake people up, because by the time the movie happens, and by the time things play out the way I think they will, this is going to get new life. People are going to come back to this and be like, oh, he had a point. I can promise you that.
Yeah. Yeah, so, no, on that one, because the way I interpreted it when I first heard it on their video was just like, hey, man, people died. Let's move the fuck on with it.
No, we didn't say that.
So that's bogus.
Like, from that perspective, I'm looking at it like, I don't think you can just come in next movie like, this is T'Challa now. Like, no, it's not.
Right.
It's definitely not him.
Right,
but the way you saying it, and even Marcus earlier made a good point of, like, you don't know how long they're going to be running these stories, because I was saying about it from the sense of, like, if they reboot it, then yeah, sure, you got to redo it at that point. But like Marcus said earlier, if you don't know how long they're going to be running with it, so you can't just have them out forever, which that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, nah.
But
On
I mean,
the way up.
But the thing is, though, Marvel doesn't reboot. Like, even their comics, they don't reboot. Yeah. Everything that's been happening in Marvel comics is a continuation. They'll do like soft changes, but they don't reboot. And the MCU, the way it's going right now, yo, we ain't even got mutants. We ain't got the Fantastic Four yet. We ain't got Galactus. We ain't got Doom. We ain't got Avengers versus X-Men. We ain't got the Phoenix Force. We ain't got a whole lot of stuff.
Right.
That usually, look, we're only in phase 4. Every phase takes like 5 years. They could push this thing out for another 20, 30 years if they really wanted to, before they even consider rebooting. And I don't even know why they'd reboot at that point. Yo, we still got the Young Avengers. You know, we still got the Young Avengers. We still got the Dark Avengers. We still got Secret Invasion. They got so much stuff that they got under, up their sleeve. I mean, if we waiting for a reboot, we all gonna be senior citizens before they do that.
Yeah. Facts.
That's true. Yeah.
I would say, but Hollywood do weird stuff. Like, we had 16 different Spider-Mans.
Yeah.
Fucking 6. Like, you never know. Like, and then it take one bad movie to like unravel it. So, but yeah, now I get what y'all saying now, though.
Yeah. I mean, look, Marvel is doing something very unique. Like, we've never seen a connected universe like this. The closest we've gotten is maybe Star Wars, but I would say even Star Wars is taken from the Marvel blueprint a little bit as well. Like, we have a connective universe where it's streaming and movies now, and it's, probably it's going to go into other formats as well. Maybe it'll connect to the comics in some sense down the road. But I mean, this is not something we can't compare this to what Sony does, what Warner Brother does, because they still can't even get their act together. Both of them, they still can't tell a cohesive franchise, let alone tell a connective universe, a cinematic universe. And Marvel, the other thing people have to realize is Marvel is doing something very organic as well. They started with like, oh, okay, let's just do, the trilogies, we'll just connect the trilogies. Then they was like, wait a minute. All right. Instead of the trilogies, like, let's just make streaming and movies and connect them all together. And it's like a whole new thing. Like, nobody else is doing what they're doing now, in Hollywood. So it's like its own, pioneer of a format. And because of that, that's why I'm saying, like, I know we have to look at it a little bit, exceptionally, but at the same time, there are certain things that we should think about. Like you mentioned earlier, we've had plenty of Spider-Man and Batman and Superman and James Bond and all that. Y'all really about to take away our very first original Black leading character in the MCU? Mm-hmm. I mean, shout out to Chadwick all day. Let's celebrate the man's real life accomplishments and all that. But the role, he said it himself, that the role was bigger than him. He said this. He said this about all his roles, to be more accurate. So if he believed in the role that much, and he still was signed on for Black Panther 3, despite his cancer diagnosis, why can't we believe in that role to let it continue?
Absolutely. So since we don't have as much disagreement as we thought we were going to get, I came prepared with some questions for you.
Okay.
All right. So why do you feel like Hollywood would rather pass down, quote unquote, mantles as opposed to going with historically Black characters or even creating original new IPs for Black characters?
Man, so I think this is a byproduct of what I've always called the Hollywood discriminatory math, when it comes to Black characters. When it comes to white characters, they got no problem doing addition and multiplication. We'll get all the Spider-Man, Batman, Superman, all of them characters all day long. It would be inconceivable for an executive to be like, we're not going to recast Spider-Man. We're not going to recast him. You will lose your job. I don't care if you Kevin Feige, you will lose your job because
I told Marte they would burn down the studios.
They would burn it down. Like the fans would riot. They would protest if they said we're not going to recast one of the most popular characters in pop culture. But that standard only applies to white characters, apparently. When it comes to black characters, now it's substitution or subtraction. And I'm sitting here like, that's not cool. When people have said stuff like, hey, it's okay if they don't recast, we're going to get Shuri. I'm like, that's substitution. Why can't we have both? That's what the comics did. The comics
or they say it happened in the comics. Well,
yeah.
T'Challa was still there when that happened.
He was still there. And matter of fact, they broke tradition and had 2 Black Panthers at the same time. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, what the first Black Panther movie did, it broke our minds in seeing an uncolonized, uninfluenced, never to be enslaved African Black country, that was advanced in everything. We never could conceive that. We never thought something like that was possible, let alone to see it on the big screen. So I'm like, why do we have to compromise when it comes to our Black characters as well? Why do I have to say, all right, get rid of this strong Black man. All right, cool. Give me that strong Black woman. I want both. Because I haven't seen both. I've never seen 2 strong, a Black man and a Black woman, superheroes supporting one another. I've never seen that. I want to see that. I don't want to fall back into the same old Hollywood trope where it's like, sorry, you can't have too many Black leads all at once. We, as Chadwick Boseman said himself, you can't have Denzel and Lawrence Fishburne in the same movie all at once, but you could have George Clooney, Brad Pitt, and all these characters in Ocean 11, and nobody blinks an eye.
Yeah.
Why can't we have the same energy for our Black characters? And it pains me because I know for the audience, we're so not accustomed to seeing that we automatically just clamp on to what we know, which is substitution and subtraction. We're cool with just having Shuri, while I'm sitting here saying like, yo, be greedy. Have both. We need both. Are they not about to give us, well, at least rumored anyway, are they not about to give us 3 Spider-Men in the next Spider-Man movie?
You can say confirmed, bro. Only person acting like they ain't gonna have 3 Spider-Mans is Andrew Garfield.
Right. Yeah. Point is, we're gonna have 3 Spider-Man.
Yeah.
We can't have 2 Black Panthers?
That's why it was so weird for me, because I did see the new Rockstars video, right?
Yeah.
And it really took me back to hear a lot of what they had to say on that. Mainly the point about how you could erase Chadwick's performance by casting another Black Panther. And I just thought, I was like, it's hard for me to hear that and think that the person is saying it in earnest. Yeah. Because you wouldn't say that about James Bond. You wouldn't say that about Spider-Man. You wouldn't say that about Batman. Superman. You wouldn't say that about anything.
Iron Man.
In fact, you would be one of the picketers outside of the movie studio arguing to get it back if they did choose to go that route with one of those characters. Yeah. Ask yourself why it is that when it's the Black character, you feel as though they're so disposable that you could just give it to anyone.
That is the biggest problem in trying to reduce this to just being about the mantle. When people say, well, it's a mantle, it's meant to be passed down. No, it's not. Yes, it is technically, but that's not how we consume entertainment. When you go to a movie, none of y'all have ever gone to a 007 movie. You've gone to a James Bond movie.
Difference.
Yes, 007 is a mantle, but you go for James Bond. Why? Because James Bond is a character anchor, as I like to call him. He's that person that you're familiar with. You go in to see him do his thing. You don't care about the mantle. Because if it was about the mantle, we would have had 15 different 007 movies with 15 different actors. And guess what? All you need is 2 or 3 of them to bomb, and that franchise would die.
Yeah.
You always have a character anchor to hook audiences in. Even in the comics, yes, there have been plenty of generational Black Panthers and stuff. But guess what? The comic didn't start with them. The comic didn't start with the very first Black Panther and go through the iteration. That's not how it was built. We started with T'Challa, and we learned the history through T'Challa. Everything flows through the character anchor. We know the history because of T'Challa. We care about Shuri because of T'Challa. everything is possible because of T'Challa. Yeah. That's the point. People almost lost their minds. I know this was like about a year ago. They almost lost their minds when they heard that in the new James Bond movie, the new 007 was going to be a black woman.
Boy, called it SJW this, race bending that.
Why was they doing that? Forget the racism and stuff. Yeah. Forget that, because but forget that. They was doing that because you're taking away our character Anchor. They thought that James Bond was not going to be there. That's why that's where most of the angst came from. Hey, that thing that we know, that character that's so significant, what are you doing? And then all of a sudden you have to get all these, articles and news things come out and say, wait a minute, James Bond is still going to be there. It's just the title because he retired. It's just the title but y'all still going to get James Bond. Relax. I guarantee you if no James Bond was in the next movie, it wouldn't even make money. It just wouldn't. And I'm sitting here like, yo, give T'Challa that James Bond energy. Because ironically, Ryan Coogler crafted T'Challa and the last Black Panther movie after James Bond. That's why the Shuri that we got now.
I did hear that once.
Yeah, no, I mean, he said it in interviews. That's why Shuri is Q. That's why he changed her character to be like that.
So you've remained pretty respectful to the Boseman family in your calls for recasting. You've remained distant from them, something that others on other platforms have chosen not to do for whatever reason. Have there been any reach outs towards maybe Derek or anyone else in the Boseman family, or do you plan on talking to them or trying to speak with any of them in regards to this?
I mean, I definitely try to be respectful in terms of what I report, right? So I'm not going to go out there and say the Boseman family feels this, that, or whatever, unless it's documented somewhere.
Yeah.
I think I've seen like 2 or 3 YouTube channels already say, oh, well, the Boseman family is okay with not recasting. I'm like, where did you get that information? Where, like, no one's citing anything. They're just speculating. And I think that is kind of disrespectful. If anything, I think that's really disrespectful, in my opinion. The only person I might reach out to would be Derek Boseman, his brother, only because he's done another interview. It wasn't about recasting per se, but it was just about his thoughts on Black Panther 2 in the absence of his brother. So that'd be the only person, just because they put themselves out there, because for me, I'm thinking like, yo, if you put yourself in the public, now you're accessible, but I would never go reach out to his wife because she's not looking for that attention. She's not asking for it. You know what I'm saying? So I would never go approach her about it. But, that's, to me, I'm like, yo, this is a sensitive issue. And that is one of the main reasons why I wanted the whole petition not to be about what I want. This ain't about just what E-Man wants and comic fans and stuff. It's not about that. When you go look at Chadwick's interviews, his speeches, just the things that he would say to other friends, I'm looking at all that and I'm like, yo, this man cared about the Black leading roles in Hollywood. He cared about giving back, passing the baton to other people. He cared about the character. So to me, it feels very inconsistent to say, we're going to stop this role, this significant, important character with Chadwick, even though all indications sound like that ain't what is consistent with his beliefs.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting because we posted the clip on Twitter a couple weeks back of that interview that you're referencing. And I went back and I watched the whole thing. It's about 20 minutes. Encourage everybody to go look at it on YouTube. I thought it was interesting because when I saw it the first time in the clip form, I thought that maybe the interviewer was just trying to get a Black Panther question in. And he kind of did, but it was Derek who repurposed the question a little bit. He made sure that that the interviewer knew where he was going with it.
Yeah.
And I mean, he even went as far as to call itself conspiratorial. I don't think it's conspiratorial at all. I think it's pretty consistent with what we see in America, not just Hollywood. But
you got to preface it though.
Yeah, no, he made sure he's like, look, this is the question that you're not asking me. What's going on in terms of T'Challa and a black king underneath the umbrella of Disney? Maybe that just doesn't jive the way that we all think it does. I'm other thinking because of how Black Panther was laid out, right? You see when Thor had his origin story, right? There was an immediate sequel. There was an immediate plan for him to follow up. We've had 3 Thor movies all the way up before we even got to Infinity War of Endgame. Same thing with Captain America. Same thing with Iron Man. There didn't seem to be a full-fledged plan for Black Panther to be an Iron Man or Captain America level character in the MCU. It seemed like they were setting him up to be more like Ant-Man or one of the lesser characters, or Rhodey or Falcon. Yeah, an afterthought. But they were not prepared for that movie to be nominated for Best Picture. They weren't prepared for that movie to make billions of dollars, $1 billion.
And we mentioned last week how, black people came out in droves and watched it multiple times in theaters.
So now you're proposing to make Black Panther 2 a black trauma film in the MCU? So now I know that for some reason with black properties, death is the most commonly used tool for storytelling. Don't know why, even from our own black creators. I'll leave Ryan Coogler alone for a minute, but it's just the truth.
It is.
I don't understand why it has to permeate a fictional world.
Yeah, that's not necessary.
Right? You're so grief-stricken from Chadwick Boseman's death that you want to see it again in the MCU?
For the third time.
For the third time.
For the third time. And this is something I really want people to... I want to challenge people to reflect on this. Why are we so comfortable with Black death? Why are we so comfortable with the death of Black men? It is perpetuated on the news all day long.
And so now we're going to let it permeate.
And so many people are desensitized to it. And not to say that they don't care, but they don't realize how comfortable they are seeing it.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, like, this is the one opportunity with a fantasy, a fictional character, to supersede that. I don't need my heroes to die to teach me a lesson that death can happen to anybody. I don't need that. I'm a black person. Black folks have known how to juggle pain and joy for centuries. We don't need that education. We don't need that reminder. I'm sorry. I highly doubt that white people need that either, because they get desensitized with seeing all this Black death. Yeah. I don't think the other fictional characters need T'Challa's death to inspire them to do anything. Why? I mean, if we're talking about a Tony Stark self-sacrifice, that's one thing, but we're not even at that level. We're not even close to that level. And this is, I know you didn't want to go there yet, but this is why I need people to not hold Ryan Coogler to a high pedestal. And I don't have any ill will towards Ryan, because I think the man is a genius. I've met him. He's a cool brother. He is down to earth. He is the real deal, but he's not infallible. He's a human being. He's got emotions, and emotions can cloud judgment sometimes. So all I'm saying is, like, y'all have 50 million different ways to tell a story. You can avoid this one of trying to kill him off.
I got you.
I got one more question, man, and then we're going to let you get out of here. Appreciate you coming in again, bro. All right. So how do you reconcile the current handling of the Black Panther 2 movie with Disney's history of depicting Black people in a certain way? I let my podcast members know about some research that I did. I didn't even know about this movie, a movie called Song of the South.
Oh yeah,
that was made by Disney in the early 90s, I believe, where they depicted slaves merrily living with their masters in some sort of utopian harmony. It was so. And I'm not accusing directly. I guess I'm not directly accusing Disney of racism, but how do you reconcile the two, right? Because this is anti-black to me. It is anti-black. So coming from their history, how do we reconcile the two and not say that this is not of the same ilk?
So I try to give credit where credit is due. I think that, especially for Kevin Feige. Kevin Feige was the one that pushed for Black Panther to be a thing. He was the one that gave the green light to give them $100 million budget or however much it was. It was like a huge amount, a record-breaking amount to invest into a property that was predominantly Black. Like, we just never had that before. So I give them their props for doing that. However, this is still the same company, the same group of producers that had apprehensions of having this predominantly African culture, Black culture, have African accents, which lets me know that, hey, they might have the best intentions, but they still probably have blind spots too. And I think that not recasting is a blind spot. I think that it's something that permeates throughout the entire cast. I think that they have emotional attachments, of course. I get that. However, I also think that they need to hear from outside perspectives as well, because when you're so close to a situation, again, you might not make the best long-term decision. The decision not to recast makes sense emotionally for now. But if you're talking about from a permanent standpoint, it does not. It is more detrimental, in my opinion, mainly because right now, when you look at the current landscape of all the characters in Black Panther, they're all supporting characters, not one lead at all. Shuri's not a lead. Nakia is not a lead. Okoye is not a lead. M'Baku is not a lead. So you about to basically put the bench, the supporting cast, and be like, go win this championship for me.
And then the lead in that movie can't get paid like the lead in the other movies are because it's based on supporting characters.
What happens when you don't recast the only leading role is, hey, and I'm not trying to get into conspiracies, but this is just facts. You don't have to pay them as much, right? So that just so happens to work out financially. It just so happens to keep those margins low. But, let's just say Shuri becomes a Black Panther and eventually she becomes a lead or whatever. That's fine. Whatever. I'm cool.
I mean, realistically, wouldn't they have to restructure her contract since they're asking her to do more?
After. They would have to do that maybe after, depending on how many movies she has under contract.
Yeah, because Chadwick made $3 million for 5 films. They paid
Chadwick chump change for all them movies he did. I think
it was
like 500,000 or something like that.
So for Black Panther, Civil War, Infinity War, Endgame, and I think there was one more. I'm missing one.
Captain America.
I said Civil War.
Oh.
So for those 4 films alone, he made $3 million.
Black Panther 2.
And Black Panther 2.
He was
getting paid $3 million, $500K for Black Panther.
It was just too low. It was too low. Whatever it was too low.
The total was $3 million. He got $500,000 for Black Panther alone.
Right. So, I mean, the problem is when you don't recast that one lead role, and you're just like, all right, supporting cast, go out there and do your thing. Right. You're talking about one of the most anticipated movies in Marvel to date, coming off of 1.3 billion. Those are huge expectations. And you're basically saying, that's okay. We want the supporting cast to take care of it. And then you want to focus this on the world of Wakanda. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, that's the job of a Disney Plus show. Yeah. The Disney Plus shows let us know about, what happened during the blip, what happened to the politics, what's up with witchcraft, what's up with Wanda. Like, that's what those shows are meant for, not a blockbuster movie. Like, who's coming to see all these other tribes that we've never heard of? We probably don't even know. We don't know anybody there. I don't know how much rewatchability this movie is going to have. And the last thing I want is for them to be like, well, looks like the first Black Panther was a fluke. Yep. Didn't make another billion. It underperformed. I don't want that.
Some might think that was the point.
And this unfortunately, this perpetuates that whole thing with Hollywood where back in the day, you couldn't have too many Black leads all at once. Yeah. If you wasn't Will Smith or Denzel, that was it.
Yeah.
That was it. And I'm sitting here this is why we should not settle for compromised representation. We should get 2 leads if you want to. If you want to make sure you're the Black Panther, that's fine. Keep T'Challa there. Put him on the sideline. Make him be in a coma. Put him on a mission in space. I don't care. Do whatever you got to do. Build up Shuri. And then when Black Panther 3 come around, boom, we got 2.
Word.
That will work. I'll watch it.
I'd watch it too. Again and again.
They're literally doing it in another IP. They're doing it with Thor. You're going to have Jane Foster and you're going to have Thor.
But you notice they're not getting rid of Thor for whatever reason.
Exactly.
Whenever they pass the mantle to people, to white characters, they don't get rid of them. When we got Miles Morales, Peter Parker didn't go nowhere. When we got Thor, Jane Foster, Thor ain't going nowhere. When Falcon became Captain America, Steve Rogers still ain't going nowhere. They said he's gone. But then they also reported that a Steve Rogers movie is going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Why do we get different energy? Why do we get different math?
I can't answer it.
This is why we shouldn't settle. Recast T'Challa.
Recast T'Challa.
Word.
Well, we definitely want to thank you for your time, and definitely thank you for explaining Recast T'Challa to everybody
and converting Marte.
And converting them so quickly.
My mind can be changed. You put it together well.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
It's just, the hashtag is just like, well, damn, already.
Well, I got to get your attention, right? Like,
yeah.
Because it was either this or don't kill T'Challa. And I was like,
as somebody into morbid shit, I wouldn't
the title right there.
T'Challa, but I get it.
Yeah.
That's the title right there.
That's perfect. But thank you for your time. We really appreciate it, and we hope to speak with you soon.
Yeah, we're gonna put the petition in the description. Y'all hashtag. Make sure you sign the petition. Hey, I think you crossed 35,000 today. If I'm not mistaken, it was like 30,000. It was like 30 away last night when I checked. I think you might be over 35K.
That's awesome.
Somebody text me it. I'll sign it.
Yeah. It's change.org/recast T'Challa.
Okay.
Yep.
Boom.
Appreciate you, man.
All right. Thank you, fellas.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching another Back of the Bus Squad episode. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe.
Want to check out another episode related to this? Go ahead and click that video to the left.
And if you want to catch up on some of our other episodes, make sure you click the playlist below.